In recent years, the relationship between the United States and China has grown increasingly tense, with whispers of a potential clash between these two superpowers echoing louder. Amid these rising tensions, Starlink, Elon Musk's ambitious satellite internet network, has found itself at the center of controversy. With nearly 6,000 satellites orbiting the Earth, Starlink dominates the skies as the largest satellite network in the world. While many view it as a revolutionary leap toward global internet access, China perceives it as a potential threat to national security. This perception led to a stunning revelation on January 15, 2025, when the South China Morning Post reported a simulated attack on Starlink satellites by China. The study, spearheaded by Wu Yunhua, one of China's leading experts in astronautics, demonstrated how less than 100 Chinese satellites could disrupt approximately 2,000 Starlink satellites for over 12 hours. The simulation, published in a Chinese academic journal, showcased an operation so precise and strategic that it has captured the attention of both the scientific community and global leaders. According to Elon Musk, the technologies outlined in the report, though appearing harmless at first glance, are anything but. A high-tech threat Musk disclosed that the Chinese plan involves advanced technologies, including laser and microwave-based weapons, to target satellites. What is particularly concerning is the use of AI algorithms modeled on the hunting patterns of whales. These algorithms coordinate the movement of Chinese satellites to encircle and neutralize Starlink satellites through targeted attacks. Wu Yunhua's proposal suggests that only 99 Chinese satellites would be needed to disable 1,500 Starlink satellites within minutes. With consecutive operations, Musk's entire network of nearly 6,000 satellites could be rendered inoperable within a day. Musk emphasized the gravity of the situation, calling these technologies weapons in the skies, capable of disrupting not just commercial networks, but critical infrastructure. Starlink, a target for national security. For most in the West, Starlink is simply a cutting-edge service aiming to provide global internet access. However, Chinese authorities view it through a different lens. The network's role during the Russia-Ukraine conflict revealed its military potential, as Ukrainian forces relied on Starlink to maintain communication and gain a tactical edge. This involvement alarmed Chinese military officials who feared that Starlink could be leveraged by the U.S. military to enhance reconnaissance, communication, and information sharing. With no restrictions on its potential use in conflicts, Starlink is perceived as a dual-purpose tool, one that could shift the balance of power in space. SpaceX says its Starlink satellite internet service now has over 10,000. In the dynamic realm of satellite internet, SpaceX's Starlink has once again demonstrated its rapid growth, surpassing the remarkable milestone of 4 million subscribers as of late September 2024. This achievement marks a significant leap from the 3 million subscribers announced just a few months prior, underlining Starlink's exponential. Starlink, SpaceX's satellite-based internet service, has hit a major milestone by surpassing 4 million subscribers worldwide. SpaceX confirmed the news on Thursday after company president Gwynne Shotwell hinted earlier in the week that the service would reach the mark within days. This represents a remarkable achievement for Starlink, Starlink is a satellite internet constellation operated by Starlink Services, LLC, an international telecommunications provider that is a wholly owned subsidiary of American aerospace company SpaceX, providing coverage to over 100 countries and territories. SpaceX maintains an aggressive launch schedule, with nearly 70% of its Falcon 9 missions in 2024 dedicated to Starlink satellite deployments. The company has executed over 120 Falcon 9 launches this year alone, significantly expanding its orbital infrastructure. SpaceX's internet service just suffered a huge, unexpected loss. Starlink is a satellite internet constellation operated by Starlink Services, LLC, an international telecommunications provider that is a wholly owned subsidiary of American aerospace company SpaceX, providing coverage to over 100 countries and territories. SpaceX maintains an aggressive launch schedule, with nearly 70% of its Falcon 9 missions in 2024 dedicated to Starlink satellite deployments. The company has executed over 120 Falcon 9 launches this year alone, significantly expanding its orbital infrastructure. In a splashy announcement, SpaceX revealed that its Starlink satellite internet service now has more than 3 million customers in around 100 countries. This impressive milestone comes after rapid growth, with the number of users increasing by 2.7 million last month and by 2.3 million in December 2023. Starlink, on the other hand, aims to eventually operate a constellation of over 30,000 satellites. However, it has only received FCC approval for the launch of 140 satellites, 7,500 Gene 2 satellites. In the meantime, SpaceX has launched over 4,500 V1.5 satellites to date. Another 50 of its Gene 2 mini-sates have been deployed on top of that. Cybersecurity vulnerabilities. Adding to China's concerns is Starlink's history of cybersecurity issues. In 2022, a programmer named Leonard Wouters famously hacked a Starlink terminal using a $25 mod chip, exposing vulnerabilities in the network's infrastructure. Although SpaceX has worked to address these weaknesses, the incident raised questions about the security of the entire system. If a single programmer could exploit such vulnerabilities, the capabilities of a nation-state like China pose an even greater threat. Space congestion and the battle for the skies beyond security concerns, the sheer number of Starlink satellites, nearly 6,000 and counting, has raised alarms about space congestion. China, which plans to launch thousands of satellites in the near future, fears potential collisions and interference with its own space operations. The risk of such incidents adds another layer of tension to an already fraught relationship between the U.S. and China. Starlink and the military connection. Starlink's integration into U.S. military operations has further fueled Chinese apprehensions. The network has been used to provide communication for soldiers in remote regions, enhancing their ability to stay connected with both command centers and their families. This dual use of Starlink, commercial and military, blurs the line between private enterprise and national defense, making it a significant point of contention for China. A call for diplomatic solutions. Elon Musk has repeatedly emphasized the need to avoid conflict with China, advocating for diplomatic solutions to ease tensions between the two superpowers. However, with advancements in space warfare technologies and the growing militarization of satellite networks, the path to peace remains uncertain. China's recent actions underscore the complexities of space as the next frontier for geopolitical rivalry. As Starlink continues to expand, the challenge lies not only in protecting its satellites, but also in navigating the delicate balance between innovation and international relations. As Elon Musk's SpaceX continues to expand its Starlink satellite network, it has become increasingly clear that this once innovative initiative has now transformed into a critical element of global communications and a lightning rod for geopolitical tensions. In a recent twist, it appears China may have launched a cyber attack on the Starlink network, underscoring the growing strategic importance of satellite-based systems and the high stakes involved in controlling them. Starlink's role in modern defense. Initially launched as a private endeavor to provide global internet access, Starlink's network of nearly 6,000 satellites has grown far beyond commercial applications. Its integration with the U.S. military has made it an indispensable tool for defense operations. With its ability to provide seamless communication, especially in remote or contested areas, Starlink has become a vital lifeline for the U.S. military. For military units in the field, Starlink has enabled faster and more secure communication, reducing operational risks. This reliance has only deepened as no other U.S. government-backed communication technology comes close to matching Starlink's capabilities. Returning to older systems would mean significant setbacks, something the U.S. military cannot afford in today's rapidly evolving geopolitical landscape. Growing concerns over Elon Musk's influence. Despite its utility, Starlink's growing significance has raised questions about Elon Musk's influence in defense matters. Critics, including U.S. Senators Jack Reed and Jeanne Shaheen, have expressed concerns about Musk's potential to enter into contracts with adversaries or use his leverage irresponsibly. In late 2024, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin initiated an investigation into Musk's operations, aiming to ensure that Starlink remains secure and aligned with national interests. While these concerns were brewing at home, China began to take notice of Starlink's deepening ties to the U.S. military. To Beijing, Starlink's satellite network represents a significant strategic threat, effectively serving as 6,000 U.S. military assets orbiting Earth, assets capable of disrupting their communication systems or gathering intelligence. The catalyst: Ukraine and Starlink's strategic value. China's heightened interest in Starlink can be traced back to the events of early 2022. During Russia's invasion of Ukraine, SpaceX deployed thousands of Starlink units to restore internet connectivity after local networks were destroyed. This allowed Ukrainian forces to regain a communication edge, pushing back against Russian advances. Although Musk's decision to assist Ukraine was met with international praise, it also attracted scrutiny. While Musk emphasized that his actions were purely business-driven, critics accused him of taking sides in the conflict. These developments alarmed China, which interpreted Musk's involvement as evidence of Starlink's potential as a tool for geopolitical intervention. China's response: cyber attacks and the Guang project. Since mid-2024, SpaceX engineers have documented unusual disruptions in the Starlink network, with satellites intermittently going offline for brief periods. Initial assessments attributed these incidents to technical glitches. However, upon closer inspection, it became evident that these were coordinated cyber attacks. Unlike previous attacks attributed to Russian hackers, these bore hallmarks of a new adversary: China. China's efforts to counter Starlink are not limited to cyber attacks. The Guang project, a state-led initiative, aims to deploy 13,000 satellites, positioning China as a direct competitor to Starlink. Unlike Musk's privately operated network, Guang is entirely government-controlled, with plans to integrate satellite capabilities into military, research, and civilian applications. The dangers of escalating space rivalries. The growing competition between Starlink and China's Guang project raises significant concerns about space congestion. With over 11,300 active satellites in orbit today, plans to quadruple that number by 2030 risk triggering the Kessler syndrome, a scenario in which space debris from satellite collisions renders Earth's orbit unusable. In addition to physical risks, the sheer number of satellites will strain the limited spectrum of radio waves used for communication. This could lead to interference with critical services such as navigation, weather forecasting, and disaster response, further complicating global cooperation. What's next for Elon Musk and SpaceX? Faced with increasing pressure from both geopolitical rivals and domestic critics, Elon Musk is at a crossroads. Competing directly with China's state-sponsored Guang project is an uphill battle, especially given its backing by the Chinese government. Launching more satellites to outpace China might exacerbate environmental and logistical concerns. An approach Musk, an advocate for sustainability, is unlikely to pursue. The recent cyber attack on Starlink highlights the vulnerabilities of privately operated satellite systems in a world where space is becoming an increasingly contested domain. Whether Musk doubles down on strengthening Starlink's defenses or pivots toward new strategies remains to be seen. Conclusion: the battle for dominance in space-based communication is heating up, with Starlink and the Guang project at the forefront. As the world inches closer to a new era of space militarization, the implications of these rivalries extend far beyond technology. potentially reshaping the global balance of power. What do you think? Should Elon Musk escalate his efforts to counter China's ambitions? Or should international guidelines be established to manage the growing competition in space?